CreepyCorner stories.
Hey everyone, welcome back to CreepyCorner stories. You know, diving into the dark web is always risky, but sharing these stories with you makes it worth it. I'm curious, where are you watching this from right now? Let me know in the comments below. I noticed that these kind of stories hit differently depending on where you are. It might make the experience a little creepier. So tell me, are you watching from the safety of your home or somewhere less secure? A hitman on the dark web sent me my DoorDash order as proof. He knows where I live. Yo, I don't even know how to start this without sounding absolutely insane. But whatever, I've got to get this out. I'm not saying this for karma or clout or anything. I'm just genuinely freaked out and kinda hoping someone out there has gone through something remotely similar. For context, I'm just a normal dude, 23 years old, living alone in a decent apartment just outside of Chicago. I work remotely doing graphic design, so most of my time is spent in front of a screen with YouTube, Twitch, or podcasts playing in the background. I'm not really someone who gets scared easily, but after what happened this past week, let's just say I sleep with the lights on now. This all started 5 days ago. It was a regular Wednesday night, and I was halfway through watching some analog horror playlist on YouTube. You know, that liminal space kind of stuff, like Mandela Catalog or Gemini Home Entertainment. It was like 2 a.m., and I was working on a client logo when I heard a ding from my phone. DoorDash, your order has arrived. Now here's the weird part. I hadn't ordered anything, at least not that night. I checked the app, thinking maybe it was a glitch or an old notification. Nope. It showed a completed order for a 20-piece chicken McNuggets, large fries, and a large Sprite from a McDonald's like 10 minutes away, delivered to my exact address. At first, I figured maybe I forgot I ordered. You know how sometimes you're on autopilot at night, right? I've done that before with Amazon or Uber Eats while half asleep. But then I saw the name on the receipt. Name, Blackbird. That wasn't me. I don't go by that, online or otherwise. I mean, I've used dumb aliases in forums and old COD lobbies. But Blackbird? Nah. I opened my front door slowly. There it was, McDonald's bag, still warm, sitting neatly on my welcome mat. No dasher in sight. I live on the 3rd floor, and you can usually hear people walking down the stairs or the elevator beeping, but it was dead quiet. I brought the bag inside. The food was real, fresh even. I stood there, holding this greasy bag in my kitchen, just confused. I checked my bank accounts, but nothing was charged. No pending transactions, no weird activity. My DoorDash app didn't show any orders placed under my account, and the receipt printed from the restaurant even had a different phone number, one I didn't recognize. I should have thrown it out. I know that now, but I was hungry, and I'm a dumbass sometimes, so I ate it. That was my first mistake. Later that night, I was scrolling through Reddit. Yeah, I'm that kind of guy, and found myself deep in a thread on r/deepweb. People were sharing weird stories, like finding live streams of rooms with no context, red rooms, which I always thought were fake, and hiring hitmen. Most of the stories were obviously exaggerated, but some of them, they felt too real. I clicked on a comment thread that mentioned Blackbird contracts. Someone said it was a new service on the dark web, like Silk Road 3.0, but way more twisted. The idea was that you could put a mark on someone, and if the mark didn't meet specific conditions, they'd be targeted. Conditions like, don't open a DoorDash bag, or don't answer a specific phone call, or don't go to sleep within 2 hours of a certain event. It felt like some weird ARG or viral horror campaign, but then I saw a post from 3 months ago. A guy in Toronto described almost the exact same McDonald's order showing up at his house, addressed to Blackbird, which he said wasn't him. He ended up missing a few days later. His account hasn't posted since. I thought, okay, this is just an urban legend, internet BS, but still, it bugged me, enough to keep me up until the sun started rising. The next night, I get another ding, but this time, it's a text. Not from DoorDash, not from a contact I know, just a message from an unknown number. No name, no profile picture. You ate it. That means you accepted the deal. My stomach dropped. I didn't even know how to respond. I just stared at it for a full minute before typing, "What deal?" No response. Just those 3 dots flashing for a few seconds, then stopping. Nothing else. At that point, I was freaked out, but part of me still thought this was someone messing with me. Maybe a friend hacked my number or something. I sent screenshots to my buddy Kyle, who's kind of a tech-savvy guy. He told me the number was encrypted and untraceable. It came from an SMS relay server, probably routed through 3 different countries. He joked, "Dude, maybe you got cursed by McNuggets," but I could tell he was a little uneasy too. The next day, my neighbor, Mrs. Holloway, sweet old lady, always says hi when she walks her Pomeranian, knocks on my door. "You doing all right, hun?" she asked. I told her yeah, just tired. She nodded and then said the strangest thing. Someone was standing in front of your door last night, around 4 a.m., just staring at it. Didn't knock, didn't move. I saw them through the peephole when I got up to use the bathroom. Gave me the chills. I thanked her, tried to play it off like it was probably just a drunk delivery guy or something. But inside, I was losing it. I barely slept that night, and when I did, I had dreams of someone standing over my bed, not moving, just watching. I've started leaving my phone recording audio while I sleep. Last night's recording. At 3:42 a.m., there's this faint sound of something brushing against my front door. Then a whisper, barely audible. "Blackbird." Then silence. I know how this sounds. Believe me, I know. But this is only part 1 of what happened. And trust me, it gets worse. Way worse. Like, people aren't supposed to see this levels of messed up. I'll post part 2 soon. I just need to check something I found taped under my doormat this morning. It's a photo of me eating the nuggets, and behind me, in the reflection of the kitchen window, there's someone standing in my living room. So, that photo I found taped under my doormat, it wasn't just a photo. Not really. I was too panicked to realize it at first. My hands were shaking, my mind running on fumes from 2 nights of basically no sleep, and when I picked it up, I thought it was just a glossy printed image of me mid-bite on a McNugget. But when I flipped it over, there was handwriting on the back, all uppercase letters, neat, precise, mechanical, written with one of those super fine-tipped red Sharpies. Rules have begun. Fail equals consequence. Blackbird is the game. Underneath that were 5 lines. No police, not even once. Every night, something will arrive. Accept it. Document everything. If you miss a night, the consequence applies. Do not attempt to leave the city. Well, no. You already said yes. Now you play. There was no signature, no code, nothing traceable. I ran it under black light. Nothing. But I noticed something weird at the bottom corner. A tiny embossed logo, like something pressed into the paper itself. It was a crow with no eyes. I searched that symbol online, reverse image searched it, ran it through forums. Nothing. It didn't exist. Or maybe it wasn't supposed to. I didn't go to work that day. I couldn't. I barely even moved. I just sat in my apartment, refreshing every camera feed I'd rigged with old baby monitors and cheap Amazon Wi-Fi cams. I had one pointed at my hallway, one at my front door, one in my kitchen. All quiet. Until 9:13 p.m. I heard a knock. Not just a tap. A deep, full-knuckled knock. Slow and deliberate. 3 times. I froze. I waited like 10 minutes before checking the camera. The hallway feed was glitching, like the signal was being jammed. I opened the feed from my front door camera, and for a single frame, just one, I saw someone standing there, wearing a long butcher's apron, arms completely still at their sides, no visible features, like their head was wrapped in plastic or something shiny and skin-tight. I blinked, and the feed cut to black. I ran to the peephole. Nothing. No one. But when I opened the door, there was a small brown paper bag sitting on my doormat. It was folded neatly, sealed with a red wax stamp. The same crow with no eyes logo pressed into the wax. Inside the bag, just a single Ziploc bag. Inside that, a tooth. Human. Blood still fresh. And a note. You are not the first. You will not be the last. Eat nothing unless it arrives in the bag. At this point, it didn't feel like a prank anymore. This wasn't some college kid playing hacker. This was ritualistic. It was organized. And there was one detail I couldn't shake. How did they get into my apartment? I checked every window, every lock, all still sealed. But when I walked back to my kitchen, something was off. My spice rack had been rearranged, alphabetically, and on the counter, written in what looked like fingernail scratches, was the word chew. I didn't eat anything that night. I couldn't. I locked every door, turned on every light, and sat in the living room with a kitchen knife in one hand and my phone in the other. At 3:46 a.m., my phone started vibrating. No ringtone, just vibrating. Over and over. The screen said, "Unknown caller, location, your bedroom." I was sitting in the living room. I looked over my shoulder. My bedroom door was cracked open. I could feel the panic building in my chest, like a balloon ready to pop. I didn't move. I didn't breathe. Then, the voice started playing through my phone speaker. Low, calm, male, no emotion. You smell like chicken grease. Then click. Silence. The next day, I tried to leave. I couldn't take it anymore. I packed a backpack, grabbed my car keys, and headed to the garage underneath my building. My car was gone. Just gone. Not towed. Not stolen. I checked with security. They pulled up the footage for me. You can clearly see me parking my car there 2 days ago. But then, nothing. No one driving it out. No footage of it leaving. It just disappears. Right from the camera feed. Like a bad edit. Like someone just erased it. I Ubered to the nearest police station. I didn't go inside. I remembered rule number 1. but I sat across the street in a Starbucks with my hood up, staring at the entrance, wondering, tempted, desperate. That's when my phone buzzed again. A notification from Life 360. Only problem? I don't even use Life 360. The alert said, "Your parent has arrived at Starbucks." I clicked it. There was a location pin right on top of me. Then a photo popped up in the chat. It was me, sitting exactly where I was, taken from inside the Starbucks. In the photo, I'm looking at my phone, and in the reflection of the window behind me, there's a man sitting just 4 feet away, wearing a white latex mask, smiling. I ran. I didn't even know where. Just away. I left my drink, my phone charger, everything. I didn't stop until I got back to my building, but the elevators weren't working, so I took the stairs. And I swear on everything, on the second floor landing, taped to the wall, was a Polaroid of me running out of Starbucks, still mid-sprint, still mid-terrified. They were faster than me. They were ahead of me. That night, I made a list of everything I'd done in the last 3 months. Everything online. Every dumb Discord server I joined. Every Reddit post I commented on. And I remembered one. It was called The Feeder Game. It was a creepy ARG people said existed on the dark web. You'd get an invite, usually from a weird link posted randomly in comments or live stream chats. I clicked one a few weeks ago, just curiosity. It opened to a black screen with white text. All it said was, "Will you feed the bird?" There were 2 buttons, yes or no. I hit yes. It redirected me to a blank white page. That was it. I forgot about it. Until now. That night's delivery arrived at 11:59 p.m. I didn't hear a knock this time. No doorbell. Nothing. But the bag was inside my apartment again. This time, it was different. Not brown paper. A black velvet drawstring pouch. Inside was a folded napkin and something heavy. I opened it. A wedding ring, covered in dried blood. Wrapped in the napkin was a piece of paper torn from a children's coloring book. Scribbled crayon drawing of a family of 3 holding hands. The mother and father had their eyes gouged out. The kid in the middle had a red X drawn over her face. Underneath in crayon, the words, "Your next daddy." I don't have a kid. At least, I thought I didn't. I know what this sounds like. I sound crazy, like I'm unraveling. But this isn't fiction. This isn't some Reddit writing prompt. It's a game, a network, a ritual, and I think whoever's playing it isn't entirely human anymore. They're watching, and they're hungry. By the 3rd night, I'd stopped recognizing my own face in the mirror. There's something about constant fear that changes your brain. You stop sleeping. You stop thinking in full sentences. The world slows down, but you start shaking, and it never stops. Every noise feels like a signal. Every shadow could be someone watching. I hadn't left my apartment in 2 days. My fridge was empty. My lights stayed on 24/7. I taped butcher knives to the inside of all my closet doors. I don't know why. It made me feel like I was doing something, anything, to take control. But there's no control when they're already inside your head. That night started with a power outage. Just a flicker at first. Then total blackout. The apartment went dead silent. Not even the hum of the fridge. My phone dimmed to 3% battery, and I swear, right as I picked it up to turn on the flashlight, the screen lit up with a new notification. The delivery has entered. That was it. No app name, no vibration, no sound, just words. I grabbed the aluminum baseball bat from under my bed and crept to the front door. My hallway was lit only by moonlight leaking in through the windows. Long shadows stretched up the walls like spider legs. And then I heard it. Soft chewing. From the kitchen. I don't know what I expected, but when I peeked around the corner, I saw someone sitting at my kitchen table, eating. They were hunched forward, elbows too high, fingers dipped in ketchup, like they didn't know how utensils worked. Their face was wrapped in plastic wrap, tight across the skin, with only holes poked out for the nose and mouth. No eyes. They were eating something raw, red, soggy. They didn't look up, just kept chewing. Slow, mechanical. I whispered, "What do you want?" The chewing stopped. The figure slowly turned its head toward me, but their face didn't move, like the plastic was sealed to the skin underneath. It made a horrible, crinkling, wet noise as it twisted. Then it held up a cell phone, one I recognized immediately. My mom's old iPhone. I hadn't seen it since her funeral 6 months ago. It was still cracked across the screen, with her rose gold case hanging by threads. I dropped the bat. My heart felt like it stopped mid-beat. The figure pressed a single button. A video started playing. It was my childhood living room, our old house. I recognized it immediately. The footage was night vision, shaky, filmed from outside a window. Inside, my mom was sitting on the couch, watching TV. Then, a figure, that figure, walked in behind her. No sound, just slow, silent movement. It stood behind her for nearly 30 seconds, then raised what looked like a pair of garden shears, and right before the screen cut to black, the last frame showed. No, I can't even say it out loud. I thought my mom died in a car crash. That's what they told me. That's what the autopsy said. But now I know. They staged it. Or maybe they edited the whole world around me. I sprinted back into my room and slammed the door shut. I started hyperventilating, holding my hands over my mouth so I wouldn't scream. That's when I noticed something new. There was something written on my ceiling. Red Sharpie, still wet. The ink had dripped slightly, creating what looked like veins crawling across the plaster. It said, "The camera sees you, even when the eyes are closed." I grabbed my phone and opened the camera app, switched to selfie mode, held it up, pointing it at my closet. There was someone inside. No joke. You could see a hand, just barely. A pale, bone-white hand gripping the edge of the closet door. But when I looked at the actual closet, nothing. It was shut. No movement. Empty. The camera showed the hand. Reality didn't. 2 different versions of the same room. My phone died before I could screenshot it. I didn't sleep that night. I curled up in the tub with the door locked and the faucet dripping. Something about the sound kept me grounded. Every few minutes, I'd hear movement in the walls, shifting, knocking, like something was crawling through the air vents. At 4:23 a.m., I heard a voice through the faucet. No joke. The water gurgled, then whispered. She saw the bird. We showed her what happens next. That's when I threw up. Just pure panic. I vomited all over my bath mat. Inside the bowl, I saw something I didn't eat. A small piece of paper. I pulled it out. It was wet, curling at the edges, but still readable. Next delivery, 7 a.m. Location, 129, Dunbridge Lane. Payment received. Your memory. Target, Paige. I don't know anyone named Paige. Or, at least I didn't think I did. I googled the address. It was 5 blocks away. I threw on a hoodie, grabbed the baseball bat again, and ran through the early morning darkness. The street was deserted, fog hanging low, not a single light on in any window. 129 Dunbridge was a 2-story white house with a porch swing that moved slightly in the breeze. I approached the door. No cameras, no motion lights. Sitting on the porch was a silver metal food container, like the kind you'd get at a cheap Chinese takeout place. Taped to the top was a sticky note. For blackbirds' eyes only. I opened the lid. Inside was a human tongue, still wet, lying on top of a folded Polaroid. I held it up, hands shaking. The photo showed a young girl, maybe 16, long brown hair, lying on a twin bed, mouth open, eyes wide. Someone had taped a dead crow to her chest, blood soaked through the mattress. And in the corner of the room, barely visible in the grainy quality, was me, standing in the doorway. I don't remember it. I don't remember being there. I don't remember her. But the timestamp said, tonight, 2:04 a.m. They're not just stalking me. They're using me. I stumbled home in a daze. I couldn't think straight. I was starting to lose time. My phone was completely dead, so I plugged it in and powered it back on. At 6%, I got one final notification for the day. You passed the test. Next meal unlocks at midnight. Then a text came through. Just one line. Check your freezer, Daddy. I ran to the kitchen, opened the freezer. Sitting on the top shelf was a plastic bag with hair in it, braided, child's hair, and written on the bag in that same jagged red Sharpie, Page, dinner, complete. I dropped to the floor, screaming, crying, everything. My head spun. I don't know how long I sat there, but when I looked up, there was a laptop open on my kitchen table. It wasn't mine. The screen was black, except for one video feed, a live stream. I clicked full screen. It showed me, right now, sitting on the kitchen floor, from a ceiling corner angle. But the longer I watched, I noticed something horrifying. In the corner of the frame, just outside the field of view, something was moving, crawling, inhuman, like a person walking backward with their chest facing the ceiling. It was moving toward me, slow, grinning. If you clicked, yes, it's already too late. They're inside your eyes now. I want to start this part by telling you something that will sound impossible, but every word of it is real. I know that because the scars are still healing, the smell still lingers, and the thing in the corner of my room hasn't stopped watching me blink for 32 hours straight. I'll explain. But first, understand this. They've removed the concept of safety from my world. There is no escape. There is no it's over. Once you say yes, it doesn't stop. You don't play the game. The game plays you. After I saw that live feed of myself, with that backwards walking figure creeping toward me from the dark, I ran. I didn't even pack. I left my phone, my laptop, everything. I sprinted down the stairwell barefoot. I could feel something warm soaking into my heel with every step. I looked later and realized it was blood, but not mine. Someone had scrawled tiny human teeth along the edges of every step, embedded into the wood like a macabre trail of breadcrumbs. By the time I hit the ground floor and shoved open the back door, the sky outside had that strange blue haze just before dawn. But the neighborhood, it was wrong. Every window on the block was lit up, glowing yellow. Every single one. But no movement, no sounds, no traffic, no birds, no wind. It was dead air, like someone had taken a photo of my city and stretched it around me like a fake backdrop. I started walking, fast. I didn't care where I ended up. I just needed to get away from myself. About 6 blocks in, I noticed something. Every single digital billboard had the same message. Blackbird must choose her. Deadline, 5 a.m. Location, the meat room. Underneath was a countdown, and the numbers were ticking down fast. I didn't want to go. I tried turning around, but the streets were looping. I walked in a full circle and ended up right where I started, standing underneath a billboard that burned that sentence into my eyes, over and over. Choose her, choose her, choose her. And then I heard the sound that still hasn't left my ears. A child's scream, muffled, wet, echoing through the gutters. I followed the sound until I reached an alley I'd never seen before. You'd miss it if you blinked. It was wedged between 2 chain-link fences behind a locked Starbucks dumpster. There was a door at the end, steel, no handle, just a keypad with flesh-colored buttons, like real skin. The texture made me want to vomit. Above the keypad, a speaker clicked on, and a voice said, "Speak her name. Only one, or we take all 3. I didn't even know what that meant. 3? 3 what? 3 who? Then the door clicked open on its own. I stepped into complete darkness. It wasn't just unlit. It felt like the air inside the building had weight, like I was stepping into someone's throat. The smell hit first. Rotten meat, bleach, and burnt hair. My hands found a wall. I followed it. I walked for what felt like 10 minutes before the hallway opened into a massive, warehouse-sized room. The meat room. That's what the sign said anyway. Spray painted on the cement floor in red. There were hooks hanging from the ceiling. Hundreds of them. And something worse. Mirrors. Floor-to-ceiling mirrors surrounding the room. So every time I turned, I saw myself multiplied over and over. But they weren't all copying me exactly. One of the reflections was smiling when I wasn't. Another had black liquid running down from its eye sockets. And one of them wasn't me at all. It was her. A girl. Mid-teens. Skinny. Pale. Wrapped in a torn-up Hello Kitty hoodie. Duct tape around her wrists. Blood dried to her face like war paint. Paige. I didn't know how I knew her name, but the second I saw her, something inside me twisted. She was real. She wasn't just a delivery. She wasn't just a game piece. She was alive. Barely. Tied to a gurney in the center of the room. Wires wrapped around her fingers, toes, and scalp. Plugged into an old CRT monitor mounted to the ceiling. The screen was blinking white with a message. Blackbird must choose, or she suffers all timelines. Then a wall of screens flickered on behind her. 3 timelines, 3 different rooms, 3 different versions of her. In one, she was locked in a pitch-black box, banging on the walls until her fists turned bloody. In another, she was tied to a chair, eyes wide, with headphones duct-taped to her head, playing something so loud it made the camera shake. And in the third, she was in my apartment, sitting at my kitchen table, eating McNuggets. Then the intercom came on again, and the voice said, "You can only free one. The others become part of the meat." I started crying. Ugly, loud sobs, because I knew the truth. I remembered now. I'd seen her before, not just in the photo, not just in that footage. She was one of the targets, months ago, in a dark web forum, one of the games they made us watch. Watch, not act. That's how they got you in. You watched, and that was enough. I remembered her being voted on, people in the chat choosing how she'd suffer, what video would play, what temperature the room would be set to, whether she'd be fed, and I said nothing. Back then, I watched, said nothing. I didn't vote, didn't participate, but I didn't stop it, and that counted. The CRT above her turned green. A timer appeared. 9.87 point. I had to choose. One button appeared on the wall in front of me. A red button labeled "Set her free." But underneath it was a second button, yellow, unlabeled. The intercom crackled again. Red saves her. Yellow feeds you. I wanted to press red. I swear to God, I wanted to press red. But my hand didn't move, because I could smell it. The nuggets, the fries, the Sprite. My stomach roared like something alive inside me, and the mirrors started to whisper, "You're not the victim. You were always the menu. You said yes. You watched. You wanted this." My fingers hovered over the red button, and then I pushed yellow. The lights went out, all of them, and the only sound I heard was pages screaming. Then static. Every screen, every monitor, every mirror, gone, until one single monitor flicked back on, a new feed, live stream, of me, back in my apartment, alone, sitting on my couch, smiling, except I wasn't there, not physically, but the screen version of me looked up, stared directly into the camera, and whispered, "Next time, order dessert." There's no word in English for what it feels like when your soul rots before your body. No term for the hollow pressure in your chest when you realize you're not dreaming, you're not drugged, and you're not special. You're just next. And if you've made it this far, if you've read every word, there's something I need you to understand before I finish. I didn't survive. Not really. After I pressed the yellow button, I don't remember leaving the meat room. I just woke up in my apartment again. Same couch, same flickering kitchen light, same cold McNuggets sitting on the table in a box soaked through with dark grease. The TV was on, but I couldn't find a remote. The screen just played the same footage over and over. Grainy black and white security cam loops. Each one was a death. Each one had my name tagged in the bottom corner, like a timestamp. One clip showed a girl running down a stairwell barefoot, until her foot caught a razor wire strung across the last step. She didn't scream. She just folded. Another showed a man duct taped to a high chair with a drill aimed at his temple, held in place by a child's mechanical claw game machine. They were watchable, like someone had filmed them specifically to be streamed. They had usernames in the bottom corner, comments, likes, and viewers, thousands. I tried to turn the TV off. There was no power cord. At 3:01 a.m., I heard the knock again. One knock this time. Not three. Not the usual slow rhythm. Just one. Hard, confident strike against the door. It wasn't asking for permission. I didn't want to open it. But my hands were already moving before I made the choice. Like my body had been given to someone else. Like I was the puppet now. When I opened the door, he was there. The dasher. But this time, I saw his face. And I swear to God, it was mine. My exact face. My exact clothes. Except rotted. Skin peeling like old fruit. Teeth filed to tiny nubs. Eyes replaced with black dollar signs stitched into the sockets like buttons. He smiled. Held out a DoorDash bag. Inside wasn't food this time. It was a jawbone. My jawbone. Still wet. Still twitching like the nerves didn't know the flesh was gone. I didn't scream. I just shut the door and locked it. Not because I thought it would stop him. It was just what I used to do when I felt unsafe. Some habits die harder than others. I threw the bag away, but when I turned around, my apartment had changed again. The walls were all mirrors now, floor to ceiling, and every reflection was different. One showed me slitting my wrists in the tub. Another had me eating something with fur still on it. One showed me choking someone I couldn't see, someone small, screaming beneath my hands. But the worst mirror, the one directly in front of me, it was empty, just my apartment. No me, no sound, no presence, just gone. That's when I saw the laptop again, sitting on the kitchen table, still open. The screen had changed. No more live stream, just a single file folder. Blackbird to final. I clicked it. Inside, 5 videos, each labeled appetizer, main course, intermission, dessert, tip. I opened the last one, TIP. It was a slideshow. No music, no animation, just a series of pictures. A screenshot of me, sitting on my couch last year, eating Wendy's. A photo from my Tinder profile. A pause frame from a YouTube video I commented on. It was a storytime horror channel. A Reddit comment I made 5 years ago that said, "Dark web stories are fake LOL. Nothing that crazy could ever happen to me." A grainy zoomed in photo of my eyeball taken from across my apartment, zoomed in so close you could see a crow reflected in the iris. The slideshow ended with one final slide. A receipt. Plain black text. No logo. Order complete. Client. Anonymous 1449. Target. You. Status. Satisfied delivery. Method. Psychological consumption. Remaining inventory. 1. Next delivery. Page. There was a download link. I clicked it. It downloaded a PDF. That's when my lights went out for the last time. I've never told anyone what the PDF contained, but I'll tell you now. Because if you're still here, still reading, still pretending this is just a story, you need to understand what's coming for you next. The file was titled The Feeder Handbook. It was 203 pages. Every single page was a detailed file on someone I knew. Childhood friends, co-workers, old teachers, my ex, and every one of them was listed as an ingredient, broken down by fat content, mental trauma level, social disappearance, probability score, preferred method of delivery. At the end of the handbook was a menu builder. It let you choose who, how, when. Click and drag their names into categories: appetizer, main, side, dessert, leftovers. Under each option, it would calculate calories, emotional value, viewer retention rates. You could even add garnish, things like family members, pets, objects with sentimental value, final voicemail recordings. It was perfectly coded, user-friendly, addictive. I closed the file, but I could still hear the whisper of code behind my eyes. Now here's the part that made me lose my mind. When I clicked exit game, it didn't close the program. It opened a FaceTime window. And who was calling? Me. Not the rotting one from earlier. Not the mirrored one. Me. From my old bedroom. Fresh-faced. Pre-trauma. Before I ever said yes. He looked at the screen and said flatly, "You ordered this. Don't forget. You tipped." And then he smiled. That's when I heard the real knock at my door. This time, it wasn't the dasher. It was a child. I opened the door, and standing there, holding a melted McFlurry in one hand and a sharpened bone in the other, was Paige. Her eyes were burned shut, her lips sewn closed, and around her neck, like a trophy, my own teeth. She held out the melted ice cream and whispered something through the thread. "Dessert is served." I let her in, because what else was I going to do? I'm just the host now. You're the next course. Final status. Feeder online. Your IP has been logged. Your first delivery arrives in 2 to 5 business days. The dark web gave me a list of YouTubers. Every one of them went missing weeks later. Alright, so I've never really posted anything serious on Reddit before. I mostly just lurk, watch horror videos on YouTube, like Here's My Story, and listen to Luna's chill but weirdly eerie stories when I'm working out or scrolling TikTok. But what happened to me recently? Yeah, this is something I need to share. It's not clickbait. This is 100% real, and I honestly don't know how to process it anymore. It's been messing with my head ever since it started, and if I disappear after this, nah, I'm not even gonna joke about that. Let me just tell you the story. So this started around 2 months ago, in July. I'm 23, live in a small apartment in Chicago, right above a 24-hour Starbucks, which is ironic because I haven't slept properly since this began. I work in graphic design remotely, so I've got a lot of free time. I mostly fill it watching YouTube, Twitch, and weird rabbit holes on Reddit. I've always been curious about the dark web, you know, not like in an I want to buy organs way, but just that stupid kind of curiosity. Like, what's actually down there? Is it really just hitmen and red rooms? Or is that all just internet folklore? One night, I was up late, like 3 a.m., energy drink in one hand, YouTube autoplay, throwing me some analog horror video with glitchy VHS static and distorted faces, and I stumbled across this old Reddit thread on r/deepweb. It was titled, "Have you ever been given a watch list? If so, check who's still alive." The comments were mostly trolls, but a few people mentioned receiving random text files on dark web forums. Apparently, they were lists of names, YouTubers, streamers, even some mid-tier TikTokers, and allegedly, every person on those lists went missing shortly after. One comment said, "I got a list in 2022, marked 5 names. 3 of them haven't posted in months. Coincidence? Maybe. But 2 of them were confirmed missing in their cities. Local news barely covered it. At first, I thought it was just dark web creepypasta, but I was intrigued. I'd seen scary stuff before, some weird .onion sites that made me instantly close the tab, like live surveillance cams in random homes. Some even looked like Airbnb rooms, countdown clocks with no explanation, and even one site that showed an empty McDonald's bathroom with audio of someone crying, over and over, like it was on a loop. But this was different. So obviously, I wanted to find one of these watch lists. I hit up some of the deep web forums on a Tor browser. No real names, no logins, just burner aliases like AXX011 and N0Pulse. After a few hours, I came across this hidden board called /, you know them /. That was the actual name. No caps, no logo, just a black page with a few cryptic posts and a pinned file titled Watchlist August 2025 .text, and it was downloadable. I clicked it. Dumb, I know. But again, curiosity got the better of me. It was a .txt file. When I opened it, it was literally just a plain list. Around 20 names. All of them were content creators. Some of them I recognized immediately. People with real followings. A few I watched regularly. Danny Marsh, travel vlogger, 1.2 million subscribers. Retro Kitty, Twitch streamer. Last live 3 nights ago. Chaz Bites, the guy who eats fast food in his car and reviews it. Nori GFX does cool animated horror stories. On TikTok, Luca Moore, the British guy who visits haunted Starbucks locations in Europe. And my favorite horror YouTuber, Zach Grayson. Yeah, Zach. If you're into horror, you know him. He does those deep dive documentaries into unsolved internet mysteries, complete with VHS filters and his eerie voiceovers. His last video had over 5 million views. Dude was killing it. I remember staring at the list and thinking, why these people? It wasn't like they were all super famous. Some only had like 10,000 subscribers. Others had millions. No pattern. Except they all made content, and most of it was horror themed, or had some connection to conspiracy theories, dark media, or urban legends. At the bottom of the file, in all caps, was this sentence: archive what you can, timestamp everything, you're next if you share. Now look, I'm not a superstitious guy, but that line hit different. I screenshotted it, saved the file, and started digging into the creators one by one. I wanted to see if anyone had noticed anything weird. And here's where it started getting creepy. The travel vlogger, Danny Marsh. She'd been radio silent for 2 weeks. Last Instagram post was at a Starbucks in Venice, captioned, "This barista keeps staring at me like he knows something I don't at all." Her comments were full of people asking where she went. No response. I DM'd her from a burner. No reply. Retro Kitty. She went live on Twitch 4 nights ago. The stream was only 8 minutes long before it cut out. Her face went pale mid-sentence, like someone was behind the camera. The clip was gone the next day. Deleted. Scrubbed. I found a low-res screen recording on Twitter. You can hear a faint static noise in the background. And then she just stops talking. Zach Grayson. Well, his last upload? It was titled, "They Know I've Been Watching Them." That video got removed less than 24 hours after it went live. People in the comments said it showed a screen recording of him on the dark web, browsing a site called The Archive. But it wasn't the normal kind of video he posted. It was shaky, like he was recording it in secret, like he was scared. I only saw a reposted clip before it got taken down again. And the weirdest part? His background was different. Not his usual studio. It looked like a cheap motel room with a McDonald's cup on the nightstand. And in the mirror behind him, you could barely make out a shape, almost like someone standing by the door, watching. I don't even know how to describe the feeling I got. My stomach dropped. My fingers were freezing. I looked over at my own webcam, unplugged it, then covered it with duct tape, just to be safe. I figured it could have all been a weird coincidence, right? Until I checked Twitter and saw that Chaz Bites, the food reviewer, he was declared missing after failing to show up for a collab with another YouTuber. Last seen in downtown LA, his car found parked outside an abandoned strip mall. Still had fries in the cup holder. Cold. No sign of him. That was 3 days ago. And now, something even weirder is happening. Last night, I got a notification on my phone from an app I didn't download. It had no name, just a black icon. When I clicked it, it opened a blank white screen. Then one word appeared, watching, and beneath that, a list of names. This time, there was only one name on it. Mine. You ever feel like your phone is heavier than usual? Not literally, but like it's holding something it shouldn't. That's how it felt after I saw my name on that screen. Just watching. And then below it, my full government name, spelled perfectly. I didn't screenshot it. I couldn't. The second I tried pressing the power button, the screen glitched out and turned completely black. No haptic feedback, no sound, just dead, like the phone bricked itself in real time. I tossed it across the room and sat there in the dark, thinking, okay, someone's messing with me. But my brain wouldn't stop doing this loop of paranoid math. The file, the names, the missing people. And now, me. I'm not even famous. I don't have a following. I've got like 84 followers on Twitch and a couple thousand on Instagram. I don't even post anymore. So why the hell was I on that list? Something changed after I saw it. That night, I didn't sleep. Not even close. I just lay in bed, lights off, listening. At first, it was silence. Then it was too silent, like my ears were waiting for something to happen. Every now and then, I swore I could hear the faintest sound, like scraping, like furniture being dragged across the floor, but slowly. But I live alone. Top floor apartment. No one above me. At around 4:07 a.m., I started smelling something. Burning plastic. I went into the kitchen thinking maybe my laptop charger was fried or something. Nope. Everything was off. All the outlets were cold, but the smell kept getting stronger. And when I walked back to my room, I saw that my monitor had turned itself on. I didn't touch anything. It was on full brightness, just showing one thing, a still image, a frame from one of Zach Grayson's deleted videos. You know, the one where he looked like he was hiding in a motel room. Except this wasn't the same frame I'd seen reposted on Twitter. This time, the camera was closer, like someone had zoomed in on Zach's face. His eyes were wide. And now, in the reflection behind him, there was something standing in the doorway. Not a person, at least, not a normal one. Its body was tall, bent wrong, like a corrupted PNG file in real life. Shoulders hunched, one arm reaching way too low, almost scraping the ground. But the head was what got me. The shape wasn't human. It looked like it was wearing a black VR headset, but not the kind you buy at Best Buy. It was bulkier, covered in wires, like it was meant to record, not display. And its face was turned directly into the camera, like it knew I was watching. I blacked out. I swear to God, I don't remember falling asleep or collapsing. Just blinked, and I was suddenly awake again, on the floor. Sunlight coming through the window, my head pounding. The monitor, blank. No image, no smell, no trace. I thought I was losing it. I started second-guessing every part of what I saw. Maybe it was a dream. Maybe I was just having some late-night breakdown. But I knew I wasn't. Because when I finally picked up my phone, it was still dead. Completely fried. And next to it, on the nightstand, was something I didn't own. A USB drive. No label. Just pitch black. Like it came from nowhere. Now here's where I probably should have just thrown it away. Or flushed it. Or burned my entire apartment down. But again, I'm stupid. Or maybe too curious for my own good. Either way, I plugged it into an old, off-the-grid laptop I keep for editing and random projects. No internet connection, no synced cloud stuff. I figured it was safe. When the drive loaded, it had just one folder on it, named Exposure. Inside that, another folder, dated August 28th, 2025. Yesterday. Inside that, 5 video files, No titles, just names. The first one was Danny Marsh. I hesitated, but I clicked play. The video looked like it was shot from a GoPro, maybe mounted somewhere. The quality was shaky. It showed a hotel hallway. You could hear distant humming, this weird, off-key tune, like a lullaby that had been slowed down and reversed. The video went on for nearly 3 minutes of nothing, just static and hallway footage. Then you see Danny walk into frame. She looks tired, eyes sunken, makeup smudged. She fumbles with a key card, and for a second, she looks directly at the camera, like she knows it's there. She mouths something. I replayed it about 5 times before I made it out. They're not people. Then she unlocks the door, steps in, and you hear it. Something growls, not like an animal, not like a person, something in between. Then the door slams shut, and you hear a bone-snapping crunch. The footage ends, cuts to black. I threw my headphones off, sat there shaking. That's when I noticed something else. My own face was reflected in the laptop screen, but not just mine. Over my shoulder, for a split second, I saw another reflection, something tall, watching. I spun around. Nothing. Just a room. Empty. I didn't watch the rest of the videos. Couldn't. Not yet. I yanked the USB out and locked it in my safe. But this next part, this is what made me realize this isn't just some sick prank. I went downstairs to clear my head. Starbucks had just opened. I grabbed a cold brew and tried to convince myself it was all in my head. Just too much internet. Too much Luna. Too much analog horror. Too much, here's my story. Maybe I was just spiraling. Maybe I needed to touch grass, whatever. But as I walked back into the lobby of my building, I noticed a flyer pinned to the community board. It wasn't there yesterday. Plain white sheet, black text, no image, no branding. It just said, "New tenants are not to be spoken to. If you see them recording, do not acknowledge. If they knock, do not answer. Thank you." Under that was a list of unit numbers, and mine was one of them. Here's the problem. I'm not new. I've lived here for 2 years. So who the hell posted that? And who were the others? I started looking into the units listed. Most were empty. A few I recognized. Quiet people who never made eye contact. But one of the apartments had weird noises coming from it. Almost like whimpering, wet, ragged, like someone trying to breathe through a punctured lung. I got close to the door. Someone whispered from the other side. It sees through cameras. I ran. Didn't stop until I got to my room. Locked every window. Shut off the breaker to cut power to my devices. I sat in the dark for hours until I noticed my TV. It was unplugged, but it turned on anyway. It showed a live stream, low resolution, a hidden camera angle. I could see myself, sitting, watching the TV, and in the corner of the screen, that same figure, the one from Zach's motel video, bent, twitching, wires dangling. This time, its face was pointed directly at the lens. It raised one hand, held up 5 fingers, then 4, 3, 2, 1. The screen went black. I'm leaving the apartment tonight. If I can make it to the train station, I'm gonna head to Milwaukee, stay with my cousin for a while. I haven't even told him yet. I just need to get out of here, because whatever this thing is, it's not just watching anymore. It's counting down. When I left my apartment that night, I didn't lock the door. I didn't even close it. Somehow, it felt wrong to turn my back on it like that. Like closing it would give whatever was inside permission to come find me. Or worse, follow me. so I left the door open, let the darkness stare me down as I walked backward into the hallway, heart punching against my ribs like it was trying to get out before I did. The streets of Chicago were quiet, too quiet. That weird dead time silence at 3 a.m. where the only noises are electrical hums and your own thoughts turning inside out. I didn't take my phone, didn't take my laptop, just cash, a hoodie, and the USB drive. I should have thrown it in the river. Instead, I took it with me. I made it to Union Station, thought I could just hop on an Amtrak to Milwaukee, like this was some horror movie that ends on a cold, hopeful morning with rain hitting the windows. But the station was off. I swear, I'm not making this up. When I got there, the screens were blank. All of them. You know those big arrivals and departures screens? Dead. No noise. No announcements. No security. No music. Just one janitor pushing a mop in slow motion like he was underwater. I walked past him, and when I looked at his face, I swear to God, he had no eyes. Not like gouged out or bloody sockets, just smooth skin, like someone erased them. And he turned his head when I passed, sniffed. He sniffed me like a dog, then slowly turned away. I didn't ask questions. I ran. Didn't stop until I got to the opposite end of the station, near the back wall where the vending machines are. I crouched behind one, trying to catch my breath. I checked the time on a cracked wall clock, 3:33 a.m. Then I heard it, tapping, light, delicate, like fingernails on glass. I turned around. Behind the glass of a vending machine, inside the snack slot, there was a human tooth, just sitting there, molar, bloody root and all. Under it, a sticky note, folded in half. I hesitated, reached in, grabbed it, unfolded the paper. It just said, "Channel is love." Then the vending machine turned off, dead, like it never had power. And in that moment, I realized what was going on. This wasn't random. Someone or something was broadcasting all of this. Somewhere, someone was watching me, in real time, and they wanted me to know it. I ditched the station, grabbed a cab, gave the driver a fake address near Milwaukee, but told him I'd pay triple if he didn't ask questions. 3 hours later, we were on some dirt road near the Wisconsin border. I told him to let me out by an abandoned gas station. Looked like it hadn't been open since the 90s. Rusted out pumps, broken signage, empty soda fridges inside, all warped by sun and time. I needed a place to breathe. Somewhere without cameras, without mirrors, without glass. That's when I pulled out the USB again. I couldn't help it. Some sick part of me needed to know what else was on there. I needed to see what they had, what they were keeping. I plugged it into my offline laptop again. Same folder. Exposure. This time, something new was there. A 6th video file. No name. No date. Just the title. You shouldn't have looked. I clicked it. The video starts inside what looks like a bedroom, dimly lit. The camera's static and fuzzy, like it was hidden in the wall, behind a vent or a one-way mirror. You can see a bed. A person's asleep in it, tossing a little. At first, nothing happens. Then, you see a shadow move across the floor, not walking, crawling, fast. It climbs onto the bed like a spider. You see it now, full form, the same figure from before, bent spine, head strapped into that grotesque wide helmet, long limbs that seem to dislocate when it moves. It straddles the person. They wake up. They scream, thrash. Try to fight back. The thing doesn't flinch. Instead, it reaches out, slowly, and places its hand over their face. You can hear the skin sizzling, like it's cooking them. Their body goes rigid. They start convulsing, foam spilling from their mouth. Their nose bleeds. Then their eyes burst, not from trauma, but from something internal, like a circuit fried in their brain. Then the body goes limp. The creature leans in, whispers something I couldn't hear, and for the briefest second, the camera glitches, and the person in the bed, the one who just died, it's me. Same hoodie, same face, same scar on my cheek I got from falling off a bike as a kid. Me, dead. Then the screen cuts to black, and new text appears. Live stream begins in 60 minutes. You are the final episode. I've never thrown up so hard in my life. I crawled out of the gas station and dry heaved in the gravel. My chest was on fire. My ears were ringing. I looked up at the sky. It was still dark, but something felt wrong. The clouds weren't moving. Then I heard it. A buzzing sound, like drones. I looked up again and saw 3 black dots in the sky, unmoving. They weren't stars. They weren't planes. They were cameras, hovering, watching, recording. For who? I tried smashing the USB. It wouldn't break. I burned it. The flame went out by itself. I tried burying it, but when I turned around and looked back, it was sitting on top of the dirt, clean as ever, like it wanted to be with me. So I went back into the gas station and did the only thing I could think of. I smashed every mirror, every reflective surface. I turned my laptop camera toward the wall. I taped the vents shut. I even blocked the toilet with wet paper towels so nothing could crawl out. And still, the buzzing continued, and then came the voices, not from outside, from the speakers, old, blown-out radio speakers hanging in the ceiling corners, the ones that haven't worked in decades. They crackled to life, and in between static, a voice whispered, "Welcome to the finale. This is the last thing I can write. I know I'm still being streamed. I don't know how. I don't know where, but I can feel it. My skin itches like it's being recorded, like every heartbeat is content for some twisted audience out there in the dark web. People with usernames like VoidFeed and CamGod88. I was never a creator, but now I'm part of the show. If you find this post and it's still online, that means I'm probably gone, or worse. And if you get a USB in the mail, or a text, or a screen that says, "Watching," don't open it, don't respond, because once they put you on the list, you never leave the feed. Have you ever heard your own breathing over a speaker? Not in an echo, not from your mouth to your ears. I mean breathing, your exact breath, pushed through some grimy old PA system, coming out a second later, almost like it's not you anymore, like something's listening and repeating it back to you to let you know, yeah, we hear you. That's what I woke up to. At first, I thought I was dreaming. The air was stale, like I'd been trapped in the back of a delivery truck filled with wet rags. My limbs were stiff. My tongue was dry. I opened my eyes, expecting to see the dusty floor of the gas station I holed up in from part 3. But I wasn't there anymore. I was somewhere else, somewhere built. The room was tiny, white walls, no windows, one flickering ceiling bulb buzzing like it had a bug trapped in it. There was a mirror bolted into the wall across from me, but it wasn't a regular mirror. The reflection was lagging, delayed by maybe half a second. I moved my hand, and my reflection hesitated, then copied me like it was thinking about it first. There were no doors, just a camera in the corner, red light on, live, and that's when I saw the screen. A flat screen TV embedded in the wall across from the mirror. It turned on by itself, static, buzzing. Then a video feed appeared. At first, it showed a black screen with text that said, "Now, streaming, redacted. Welcome to the archive." Then, it switched to me, like I was on Twitch. Camera pointed straight at me. A live chat rolling on the bottom. Messages flooding in. But these weren't regular usernames. No emojis, no profile pictures. Just strings of characters, almost like encrypted code or machine IDs. 0xDEAD-942, N0EYES_VIEWER1, XX_CUTCAMXX, M0, THERLISTEN1, and they were talking. They were active, not bots, real. Here are just a few of the messages I saw. I wrote them down in my mind as best I could. Burned them into memory. Is he gonna scream yet? Bet 500 he breaks in under 6 minutes. He doesn't know what room he's in. L-O-O. Mirror feed is delicious. Clip the part when he finds the tooth. I didn't understand that last one. Not yet. Then a countdown appeared at the top of the screen. 0600059995998, ticking down, second by second, millisecond by millisecond. My heart went full engine. I turned to the mirror again. My reflection was smiling. I wasn't. I stepped closer. I noticed something sticking out from the edge of the mirror, like it had been cracked open slightly. I reached in, and I pulled out a human tooth, covered in blood, still warm. There was a note tied to it, with a string of wet hair. "Bite down when the timer hits 0. I screamed. I screamed so hard, my throat shredded. My voice snapped and didn't come back. And the chat loved it. There it is. God, I missed the first screams. Clip that. Timestamp 05:47.11. Mirror, smile looks juicy orange. They were watching me fall apart, like it was a pay-per-view breakdown. And then, the doorless wall hissed. It opened inward like a hospital sterilization chamber. Beyond it was another room, exactly like the one I was in, but darker, grayer. The walls were moving, not literally, but shifting in color and texture, like wet skin under a microscope. And in the middle of the room, there was a man sitting on a wooden chair, back to me, motionless, naked from the waist up, spine protruding, veins black, head tilted forward like he was dead. But when I took one step in, he twitched, and I heard a sound, a voice from the TV behind me. This episode is interactive. Please proceed. I didn't want to, but something behind me made me move. Not a sound, not a force, just this horrible, violating pressure. Like invisible hands were grabbing the back of my brain and pushing it forward. I stepped into the room. The man in the chair exhaled, long, rattling, wet. Then he turned his head. No eyes, just 2 tiny webcams inserted where his eyes should be. Wires threaded down his cheeks like tears. His mouth opened, unhinged, and the sound that came out was my own voice. Not my current voice, my old one, from years ago. I recognized the words. It was a vlog I'd posted in high school. I deleted it years ago. It was about a time I had a panic attack in class and passed out. I remember filming it in my room and thinking it would help people. And now, this thing was replaying it from inside its mouth, like a broken speaker. The chat went wild. Full circle, oh. They always forget We archive everything. His trauma got remixed. Streamer eats his own voice. And then, the thing in the chair reached toward me. Slow, jerky, robotic. In its hand, a camera lens, detached, blood on the glass. It pressed it against my forehead. And that's when I saw the rest of the building. There were rooms, hundreds of them, each one with a streamer, a YouTuber, a vlogger, a TikToker, the face I recognized, some famous, some niche. Every single one of them was trapped, screaming, crying, cutting, bleeding, broadcasting. Some of them were dead, but the cameras kept rolling. Loops of their final moments playing on repeat. There was one room where a guy was eating himself, literally pulling chunks of meat from his leg and chewing while crying. A super chat message popped up. $20 from Camslut 101. Eat your tongue next. In another room, a woman was stuck inside a Starbucks. Not a real one, but a constructed set. Fake customers. Dead-eyed baristas with microphones for faces. She had to serve them drinks while her own mouth was sewn shut. The orders never stopped. In one room, I swear I saw Zach Grayson, but he wasn't screaming anymore. He was part of the wall, face stretched across the wallpaper, mouth open, still whispering into a camera embedded in his teeth. I screamed again, and the feed went dark. The timer hit 0, 0, 0, 0, 0, 0. Back in my room, or wherever this was, the screen lit up one last time. A message, just plain text. Thank you for participating. This broadcast was made possible by viewers like you. And then one final message. You'll be syndicated. The wall started pulsing, like lungs, breathing. The mirror cracked. Not shattered, cracked in the shape of my face, like it had memorized me, was becoming me. And from the speaker came one last line, spoken in my own voice. New streamer added to archive. Welcome to the family. There was no escape, because this isn't a place, it's a network, a living, evolving broadcasting system run by nothing human, an algorithm made flesh. Designed not to entertain, but to feed. It doesn't care about talent, or popularity, or content. It just wants attention. And when it puts your name on that list, it's already recording your soul. This is not a story. It never was. It's a recording, a transmission, a confession from a place far beyond what you think is possible. If you're reading this, you were never the audience. You're the next upload. There is no escape from where I am. Not because I'm chained up. Not because the doors are locked. But because this place doesn't exist in any way that makes sense. It's like someone took all the worst parts of a streaming platform, a meat grinder, and a psych ward, and built a church out of it. A church that doesn't worship gods. It worships views, and it gets them. The moment I was syndicated, they took my name, deleted it. You know how it feels to lose your own name? It's like someone pulls the skin off your face, pixel by pixel. You still look like you, but you can't remember how to say it. You can't remember what your parents called you. Your face becomes a filter, and everyone watching can change it. Now I'm Stream ID FEED-0753-DCL. That's all I am. That's all any of us are. They hooked me to a rig. I don't mean that metaphorically. I mean an actual physical surgical rig. It hangs from the ceiling. Wires fed into my spinal cord. Tubes in my throat, nostrils, beneath my fingernails. One wire snakes into my eye. I can feel it coiling behind the socket. Every time I blink, the camera adjusts focus. The rig doesn't film me. It is me. And when I scream, it goes through a distortion layer that converts it into donation sounds. I became content. There's a control room, somewhere above, behind the walls. You never see it, but sometimes the lights flicker and a shape walks by the mirror. Not a person. Too long, too thin, its face made entirely of keycaps and switch keys from mechanical keyboards. When it turns its head, you hear typing. They call it the moderator. It doesn't speak. It just adjusts the stream. One day, it made me watch a video. Not one of mine. Not one of Zach's. But yours. Yes, yours. The moderator showed me your face through the stream, through a window that shouldn't be able to show what it did. You, reading this, sitting there with your phone lit up under your chin in the dark, your webcam light blinking, your mouse not responding for a second longer than it should. I saw you, because they already added you. Every 24 hours, my segment changes. It's never the same format. Sometimes it's a podcast, sometimes a makeup tutorial, sometimes a mukbang where the food is just teeth. Sometimes they sew the mouths of other streamers shut and make me interview them. Ask them about their last moments on Earth, what it felt like to hear the knock at the door, what their families saw before the feed cut. One girl, streamer ID, lip filter Y, told me she was mid-recording a GRWM, get ready with me, TikTok, when her mirror blinked. She blinked. It didn't. When she turned around, her ring light had teeth, bit her right in the neck. She bled into her concealer palette while the likes kept climbing. She died in real time, and the video still loops. They don't die here though, not fully. When you die on stream, they upload your consciousness into a file called storage.mp4. The soul gets archived. I've seen it. There's a room, the buffer room. Every second, 1,000 screens flicker with tiny faces. People who scream too long, or cry too hard, or try to rip the wires out of their arms. They're stuck in permanent loading, eyeballs wide, mouths mid-scream, frozen between pixels. That's where I saw Chaz Bites. He was eating a burger, still chewing, but the burger was a VHS tape of his own first upload. Every bite made him remember the day he filmed it. He chewed until his jaw detached, still looping. I tried to escape once. When the moderator rebooted the rig for maintenance, there was a hallway behind my stream room. Narrow, surgical steel walls, cameras embedded into every tile. The floor was made of recycled keyboards. Every step I took typed out a message. I looked behind me. The floor had spelled, "Backspace isn't real." At the end of the hallway was a door labeled, "Log out." I opened it. Behind it was a family dining room, Christmas lights, a McDonald's Happy Meal on the table, a little boy sitting there, crying. He looked at me and said, in my exact voice, "Why did you bring the camera?" Then everything froze, glitched, and I was back in the chair, bleeding from the ears. Chat was going crazy. He found the door. Lolo rebooted him so fast. McDonald's scene hits different. Play it again, again, again. They replay our escapes. They monetize the rebellion. You can't break the system. The system is alive. And here's the worst part. The absolute worst part. None of this is secret. It's public. But they hide it in plain sight. You ever see a live stream with 0 viewers that's been running for 3 years? Ever find a random YouTube channel with 400 uploads, all 1 second long, just static? Ever open TikTok and see a video that disappears the second you scroll back? That's them. That's us. They say the final stream never ends. It just adds another viewer. And now, the moderator gave me a new assignment. Recruitment. You reading this? You think this is fiction. That's the bait. This story, it's a mask, a skin disguise, a format you're comfortable consuming. But your IP is already logged. Your camera already blinked. Your screen just brightened, didn't it? Good. That means it's working. You're live now. Your trial stream starts in 5 minutes. Don't bother unplugging anything. You're already archived. Welcome to the final stream. Hope you scream loud. They love that. My brother vanished last year. Last night, I found him listed for sale on the dark web. Yo, what's up, Reddit? I wasn't gonna post this at first, but honestly, I don't know what else to do. I don't expect people to believe me. If you've ever watched those animated horror channels like Here's My Story, or you've ever gone down a rabbit hole on r/LNOSLEEP, then yeah, this might sound like that. But I swear, this really happened. I've never been more serious in my life. So anyway, my name's Jake. I'm 19. I live in Vancouver, Canada, not far from Granville Street, if that helps paint the picture. Coffee shops everywhere, chill vibe. Pretty normal life until last year. That's when my older brother Kyle vanished. Kyle was 22, and honestly, he was the cool one. He had that skater, half-punk aesthetic. Tattoos, bleached hair, always posting cryptic shut on his Instagram story, like this world ain't real anyway. Real edgy stuff, but he was a good dude. He loved photography, especially abandoned places. That was his thing. He even had a small YouTube channel where he explored weird places, like abandoned Walmarts, those closed down Toys R Us stores, and even this sketchy, half-collapsed water park in Arizona. We were close. Not in a cheesy brother way, but like we had each other's backs. Now, it started the same day he uploaded this vlog about sneaking into an old asylum just outside Seattle. It was called Lakehurst Psychiatric, I think. Supposedly condemned in 2003 after some patient negligence stuff. Typical urban explorer bait. But there was something weird about that video. He uploaded it, but then 2 hours later, it disappeared. His whole channel got wiped. Every video gone. Comments turned off. No trace. I called him immediately, but he didn't answer. Then I texted. Nothing. That wasn't super weird. Sometimes he ghosted for a few days, especially when he was editing. But after 3 days, I drove to his apartment. Door was unlocked. Everything was there. Lights on, his laptop still running, half a McDonald's Sprite on his desk. His shoes were by the door, and his camera bag was open, like he had just come back from a shoot. But no Kyle. It was like he just evaporated. I filed a missing persons report. The cops acted like they cared, but we both know how it goes. He's an adult, blah blah blah. He probably left voluntarily. They searched the apartment, asked questions, but nothing came from it. That was August 17th, 2024. That was the last time anyone saw my brother. For months, I couldn't sleep. I kept his room exactly the same, just in case. Then last night, something happened. It was like 3 a.m. I was scrolling TikTok, like any night. You know that part of the night where the algorithm starts showing you creepy stuff? That late night TikTok energy. I landed on this one video. A guy talking about something called the red market. At first, I thought it was one of those fake deep web stories. He said there's this page on the dark web where people, real people, are sold. Not like trafficking in the traditional sense, like auctioned off. They're labeled with numbers and codes, not names. Some are alive, some aren't. He said that sometimes, if you dig deep enough, you might recognize someone. And I don't know why. Call it desperation, grief, stupidity. But I decided to try. I had Tor already, because I was into those RRGs, alternate reality games, and I used to browse creepy forums just for the thrill. But this was different. I followed some sketchy links from an old Discord server I had saved, the kind that gets banned weekly and changes names constantly. Eventually, I found something. It was a black screen with red text, no banner, no images, just a blinking access. I clicked yes. A page loaded, slow as hell. It was all coded in what looked like old HTML, like a site from 2002. It said, Red Market, Procurement and Disposal. Enter passcode. I didn't have one, but as I sat there, something entered itself. I'm not joking. Like, the code typed itself into the box, like a ghost was controlling my keyboard. And before I could even react, it logged in. I was inside. There were no photos at first, just lists. Names, number IDs, like ID R19-027-H, and status. In storage price, 4.1 BTC condition, stable. Last, active, July 6th, 2024. It kept going, page after page. I was about to click off when I saw one. ID R22-014-KV. Status, awaiting transfer price, 5.4, Bitcoin condition, sedated. Last active, August 17th, 2024. My blood went cold. KV, Kyle Vincent, that's his full name. And the date, August 17th, the day he vanished. I clicked it. A blurry image loaded. It looked like CCTV footage, dim lighting, a concrete room, a metal cot, and strapped to it was someone. Tall, thin, bleached blonde hair, one eye swollen shut. But it was him. It was Kyle. Alive. Barely. I tried to screenshot, but the second I hit the button, the site glitched out and my whole laptop shut off. Screen went black. Dead. Then my phone buzzed. A text message from a blocked number. You are not supposed to see that. Log in again and you're next. I didn't sleep last night. I didn't even move. I've been sitting in my chair, staring at the wall, heart racing. He's alive. He's somewhere. But someone has him. And they know I saw. I didn't go to sleep after that message. It wasn't fear. It was something worse. A kind of static in my head that wouldn't stop. Like I could hear something buzzing behind the walls, and the walls were breathing, and I was just stuck. I sat there for hours, frozen. My laptop was still dark, completely fried. I tried everything, unplugging, hard reset, even removing the battery. Nothing worked. At some point, I noticed the hallway light was on, which was weird because I live alone. I grabbed the only thing nearby, a thick metal tripod Kyle used for filming. Quiet as hell, I crept to the hallway. My heart was pounding, like my body knew something my brain hadn't caught up to yet. I turned the corner, and the light in the hallway started flickering, like something out of a Netflix show. No one was there, just the hallway, silent. But the attic hatch was open. I don't even go in there. It's not finished, just dusty beams and insulation. I don't even remember how to open it, let alone who could have pulled it down. Under the hatch was a box, plain cardboard, duct taped shut, with a label in Sharpie that simply said, "Watch me." Inside was an old school USB drive. No brand, no logo. It was black, scuffed, and warm to the touch, like it had been used recently. I hesitated, but of course, I plugged it in. I used my roommate's old laptop. He moved out last year. Smart dude. It worked, but the USB didn't show any files at first. Just empty. Then, without touching anything, a folder appeared. No name. Just a timestamp. August 17th, 2024. The day Kyle vanished. I opened it. There were 13 video files. No sound. All labeled by time, down to the second. Each was exactly 3 minutes long. No more, no less. The first one showed Kyle in his apartment. It was security cam style, like someone had set up a camera in the ceiling light fixture. You could see him editing something on his laptop, sipping that same McDonald's Sprite. He looked normal, chill. Then he stood up and left frame, probably went to the bathroom. 30 seconds later, the door opened, but it wasn't him. It was a man in a red hoodie. No face visible. Black gloves. No hesitation. He walked right to Kyle's laptop, pulled out a small device, plugged it in, and started typing something lightning fast. Then, before the 3 minutes were up, he walked back to the door, turned to look directly at the camera, as if he knew, and lifted a finger to his lips. Shh. The second video was worse. It was Kyle, tied to a chair, naked, in some kind of abandoned meat locker. Concrete walls, rusted chains, plastic tops everywhere. The kind of place you only see in movies, and even then, they blur it. His mouth was duct-taped, eyes wild. There were wires taped to his chest, like a DIY heart monitor. His head kept twitching, like he'd been electroshocked. In the corner of the frame was a small red LED screen. It read, R22-014-KV condition. Assessment organs, viable. I couldn't breathe. I clicked the next video. It was just dark. No image. Only static. But I could hear something. Clicking. Breathing. A dragging sound. At 2:57, a voice whispered, "You shouldn't have come here, Kyle." The next file showed something that broke me. It was the same room. But now Kyle wasn't alone. There were 3 other people. 2 men, 1 woman, all tied to metal chairs. Their heads were bagged, blood all over the floor. Someone off camera was walking in circles around them, holding a clipboard and humming. That same damn static buzz filled the room like a sickness. Then a new man stepped into frame. White suit, long black gloves, no face visible, just a gas mask with a red tinted lens. He leaned into Kyle's face and whispered something in his ear. I couldn't hear it, but Kyle started screaming, even through the tape, biting at the restraints, shaking, like whatever was said cracked something in his mind. The screen glitched hard, like old VHS tracking. Then it cut out. The 5th video showed a test. Each person, still bound, was forced to compete. It looked like some kind of twisted game show. They had these electrical buzzers hooked to their arms, and on the wall was a question. What's your market value? Each of them had to guess. If they were wrong, they got shocked. The woman guessed too low. Her chair lit up, and she started convulsing. Her nose bled. Then the screen went black again. I skipped to video 11. I was crying at this point. Not like movie crying. Like the kind of panic crying where you can't even breathe properly. This one showed Kyle in a cage. Literally a steel cage. Like a zoo. There were people watching, in masks. Some were holding champagne flutes, laughing, like it was a show. A man in a tuxedo stood in front of them, speaking perfect English with a heavy Eastern European accent. Lot number R22-014-KV, Canadian origin, athletic building, no known health defects, fully compliant. Then a bidding screen appeared, Bitcoin numbers flying across the top. He was being sold like livestock. The final video made me stop. It was me. I was sleeping, in my room. Same blankets, same hoodie, same poster on the wall. The angle was from the corner of my ceiling. The file timestamp was from 2 hours ago. I shut the laptop and puked in the sink. Then the power went out. I mean full black. No streetlights, no Wi-Fi. Even my phone shut off. Battery full. Just darkness. Like someone hit a kill switch on the entire block. Then I heard footsteps in the attic. Slow. One at a time. They were above me for at least 15 minutes. Just pacing. No talking. No breathing. Just existence. Like something was waiting for me to come up. I didn't. I stayed in the bathtub until sunrise, holding the tripod and whispering to myself like a lunatic. When morning came, the power returned. The USB was gone. No trace. No files. No videos. Not even a system log. Like it never existed. I tried calling the police, but when I mentioned anything about the videos, they hung up on me. Not even joking. I called back, and the line was dead. Then I got an email. No sender, no subject. Just this. You're now listed. ID R25-091-J. M status. Tracking. Estimated value. Pending. I think they're watching me. I haven't left my apartment in 6 days. There are fingerprints on my windows that don't match mine. I hear my door click unlocked from the outside at exactly 3:13 a.m. every single night. Like someone's testing how long I'll wait before opening it. I don't open it. I just sit, shaking in the kitchen with a knife in my hand, staring at my reflection in the microwave door, like it might suddenly blink. It's been like this since the night the email arrived. ID R25-091-J. M. Status. Tracking. Estimated value. Pending. They marked me. I didn't know what to do. I was too scared to leave, too paranoid to sleep, and too fried to think straight. I tried telling my friend Noah about it, the only guy who might believe me. He's a Reddit type, real conspiracy-brained. I figured if anyone could help, it was him. I sent him an encrypted message over Proton Mail. I told him everything, the USB, the videos, the site. I even sent him a screenshot of the last video showing me in bed. I didn't hear back for hours. Then, at 4:23 a.m., he replied, "This email doesn't exist anymore. Stop, delete this thread. They're in my walls." That was it. I called his number, straight to voicemail. I DM'd him on Instagram. Message sent, not delivered. I checked his TikTok. Wiped. No trace of him on any platform. Then I checked his Discord. His status said, "Do not search. Do not dig. Watch your corners." That's when I remembered something Carl once said, like a joke. We were sitting in a Wendy's parking lot at 2 a.m., eating stale fries and talking about creepy web lore. And he said, "You know, they say if you dig far enough into the red market, you stop being a viewer and start being the product." At the time, we laughed. Now I feel like he was warning me, maybe even himself. 3 days ago, I finally left the apartment. I needed air. I needed food. I needed to feel like a person again. So I walked to a Starbucks 2 blocks down, It was weirdly empty, usually packed with tourists and students, but that day, silent, dead, except for the barista. She was watching me before I even stepped through the door. Early 20s, red lipstick, pale skin, hair too neat. She smiled as I approached the counter, and then, and I swear on Kyle's name, she said, "You're not supposed to be out yet." I froze. She tilted her head and stared at me for a few seconds, then scanned something under the counter. I could hear the soft beep, and handed me a coffee. "On the house, Jack. You're gonna need it." I never told her my name. I didn't even drink the coffee. I threw it in the first trash can I found and started walking home fast. I felt like the buildings were watching me. The world felt stitched together wrong, like I had slipped into some off-brand simulation where all the faces are smiling, but none of the eyes blink. When I got back, my apartment door was open. I hadn't left it that way. Inside was nothing out of place. Everything where I left it, except for a package on my desk. A small black envelope with no postage, no writing, no seal. I opened it and nearly passed out. Inside was a tooth, human, blood still on the root, wrapped in a receipt from a McDonald's in Munich, Germany. Date, August 17th, 2024. Time, 3:14 p.m. Name on the receipt, Vincent Kyle. There's no way he was in Germany the same day he disappeared from Seattle. That's when I started piecing it together. Timelines don't work in the red market. People aren't moved like humans. They're transported, like assets, like cargo. I had to know what the receipt meant. I downloaded this deep forensics app Noah used to use. I scanned the faded QR code printed on the bottom corner of the paper, and it led to an encrypted file, a .red X file format I'd never seen before. The app said, "One file locked. Decryption key required. DNA signature." What the hell does that even mean? And then it hit me. The tooth. It was the key. I didn't have the tech for DNA scanning, but I knew someone who did. An old friend of Kyle's, named Aiden, who works in biometric security at a private airport near Kelowna. I called him. I told him it was about Kyle, and that I had something he needed to test. He agreed to meet me the next day. I took the bus. 9 hours. Barely spoke to anyone. I kept the tooth in a box wrapped in foil in my backpack, and still, every hour or so, I could have sworn it moved, like the nerves were still alive, still trying to scream. Aiden met me in the parking lot of a closed-down Toys R Us. Fitting. He brought this black briefcase-looking thing that looked like it belonged in a James Bond movie, plugged it into his laptop, scanned the tooth, and after 5 minutes of complete silence, he said, "Jack, this is his DNA. But this tooth is only 3 days old." Kyle had been gone for a full year. How could the tooth be 3 days old? Then Aiden looked closer. He zoomed in on the data, and his face slowly drained of color. The screen showed growth rings inside the root, like tree bark. Each ring had a different timestamp. August 17, 2024, September 12, 2024, October 1, 2024, November 14, 2024, January 4, 2025, April 30, 2025, June 30, 2025, July 24, 2025, September 21, 2025, October 2, 2025, January 3, 2025, 5 ஏப்ரல் 18 2025 ஜூன் 18 2025 ஜூலை 21 2025 செப்டம்பர் 1 2025 அக்டோபர் 2 2025 ஜனவரி 3 2025 ஏப்ரல் 18 2025 ஜூன் 18 August 24th 2025 and then August 27th 2025 2 days ago. It was like the tooth had been harvested multiple times, regrown, reused, like it wasn't just a part of Kyle. It was a product they were farming, a regenerating ID tag. That's when Aiden said something that chilled me. This isn't your brother anymore. It's what they turned him into. I went home that night with the decrypted file. It was just one video, a single interrogation tape. It looked like body cam footage, blurry, loud hum. It showed a man in a surgical mask strapped to a chair in the middle of a dark operating theater. Overhead lights flickered like a dying projector. The camera moved around the subject slowly. On the wall behind him were red spray-painted words. You are not a person. You are a number. The masked man started to shake, then scream. Not words, just pure animal panic. Then a second person stepped into the frame. Gas mask, red-tinted lens, white gloves. Same guy from the earlier tapes. He knelt beside the prisoner and whispered in his ear again, just like he did with Kyle. But this time, the mic picked it up. Your brother's watching. Let's show him how we remake a soul. The camera turned, right into the lens, right at me. The screen glitched, and in the last frame, before it cut to black, was my reflection in the gas mask's eye. They don't just sell people. They don't just break them. They remake them, turn them into tools, products, assets, and now they've got me. I haven't eaten in days. My walls creak with whispers. I found a barcode burned into my inner thigh this morning while showering. I didn't feel it being put there. It reads R25-091-J M condition pre-processing shipment ETA to be announced. If you're reading this, screenshot everything, because soon I'll be gone and you'll be next. They came for me 2 nights ago. Not in the way I thought. No kicking in doors, no black vans, no hooded figures through the window. Just quiet. The kind of quiet that builds a pressure in your skull like something huge is watching you breathe and letting you think you're safe. At 1:11 a.m., every device in my apartment, TV, phone, microwave, toaster, all turned on at once. No power surge, just on. Every screen showed the same thing. A white loading bar slowly filling across a blood-red background. The text above it, Putty Farm initialization, R25091JM. And then I blacked out. No warning, no dizziness, just instant nothing. I woke up on cold, wet concrete in a room I'd never seen before. It smelled like burnt skin, bleach, and rotting fruit. I was wearing something that felt like hospital scrubs, but tighter, synthetic and slimy, like it was meant to cling. There was a bandage over my right eye, and when I touched it, something moved underneath it. Not on top, under my eyelid. The room had no windows, just one rusted metal door with a slot like a prison tray slide. The walls were covered in scribbles, not drawn with pens, but scratched in with fingernails, or maybe even teeth. Things like, I am not a thing. Do not drink the red water. He wears your skin when you sleep. Help. Harvest. Kyle was the first, and below all that, in giant smeared lettering, was my name. Jack Matthews is alive inside him. For what felt like hours, I just sat there, trying not to scream. But eventually, the door opened. No sound. It just glided back like it didn't weigh anything, and in walked someone I recognized instantly. Kyle. Or what was left of him. His skin was grayish, like it had been drained of color. His eyes were hollow, pupils dilated to inky black pits. His mouth smiled, but it wasn't his smile. It was wide, too wide, and twitching. He was taller than I remembered, like someone had stretched him slightly. His voice was the worst part. It wasn't his voice at all. It sounded like multiple voices trying to harmonize, but failing. Echoes and reverse speech layered together. When he spoke, my eardrums buzzed, like I was standing next to a blown-out speaker. "You came too early, Jack. We weren't done rendering you." He reached into his chest, yes, into, and pulled out a black, fleshy object about the size of a baseball. It pulsed like a heart. He threw it to the ground, and it started crawling toward me, leaving a red film across the floor. I backed away, screaming, and slammed the metal bed frame against the wall until something snapped. That's when I saw the vent, half covered, but open. I crawled in. The vents were alive, not like animals crawling through them. The actual metal pulsed like breathing tissue, warm, wet. Sometimes the walls blinked. I could see things moving behind the mesh, faces pressed against the steel from the other side, eyes wide, mouths full of teeth, not screaming, just smiling. Some whispered things like, "He's wearing you already. Your voice tastes better than your blood." They don't kill you, they copy you. After what felt like miles of crawling, I dropped down into another room. This one looked like a classroom. Desks, chalkboard, alphabet posters. But everything was wrong. The alphabet was backwards. The faces in the posters had no eyes. There were speakers on each desk playing looped audio of someone sobbing. And at the front of the room, where the teacher's desk should have been, was a metal slab. On it was me, but not me. A perfect copy, naked, pale, motionless, like a mannequin made of real skin. There was a barcode etched into its chest, R25-091-J-M-C, clone, incomplete. Its eyes opened. It smiled. I ran. I don't remember how many rooms I passed. I saw a nursery full of adults in diapers screaming with no mouths. I saw a library where the books were made of people's faces stretched over bones. Every title was someone's name. One of the spines read, Vincent Kyle, Volume 4, Unstable. I saw a Starbucks recreation room where mannequins of influencers sat with IVs in their arms, scrolling phones that only displayed security footage of themselves sleeping. Every room was a mockery of something real, but twisted, like someone had taken everyday places and rebuilt them from memory, but wrong. Eventually I found the processing wing. That's what the sign said. Procurement, organization, processing, export. Inside were giant glass tanks filled with people, some alive, some not, floating, plugged in. Data readouts on every tank showed numbers like market value, yield quality, and compliance percentage. One of them was Kyle, the real Kyle, still alive, missing both legs, one arm replaced with metal rods, eyes removed, replaced with red glowing sensors, tubes in his throat. I pressed my hand to the tank and whispered, "I'm sorry." He opened his mouth. No sound. Just a USB stick slid out from between his teeth and hit the glass. I took it and ran. Now I'm back. Somehow. I escaped. I don't know how. Maybe they let me go. Maybe I never really left. The USB is next to me. It's wrapped in what looks like human hair. I haven't opened it yet. My laptop keeps turning itself on and typing the same message into Notepad over and over. You are your brother now. We copied you to make you understand. The product is always better after trauma. The farm never lets anything leave alive. Do not delete this file. 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 Do not. My reflection in the screen isn't blinking, and I think I'm starting to forget things, like basic things. My birthday, my mum's face. My voice sounds different in videos now. Higher, flatter, more like Kyle's. And last night, I woke up with something growing from my spine. A bump, pulsing, warm. I think it's where the next version of me is going to bloom. They don't just sell you. They don't just copy you. They plant you in others. I found something under my skin today. It was moving, not crawling, not twitching, wriggling, like a worm made of wires. I sliced it out with a box cutter and watched it squirm on the floor, blinking in Morse code. The pattern was familiar. I looked it up. It was coordinates. They pointed to a place in the middle of the Black Forest in Germany. The exact coordinates stamped on the receipt I found in my apartment weeks ago. The one from that McDonald's. The one dated the same day Kyle vanished. I didn't go. I know what I'll find there. Or worse, what will find me. I can't explain what I am anymore. I used to be a person. Jack Matthews, 19. Loved skateboarding, late night horror YouTube, McChicken combos at 2 a.m. But now I'm a mirror. Something wears my skin like it was tailor-made. It smiles with my teeth. It talks with my voice. It dreams in other people's memories. At night, I wake up standing over my bed, holding my own pillow, watching myself sleep. Yes, you read that right. There are two of me. One that watches, one that feels. I've started finding notes I don't remember writing. On my mirrors, on the inside of the fridge. One carved into my forearm in perfect handwriting while I slept. He is in. You are the farm now. They will come to you. Let me explain what the red market really is. It's not a marketplace. It's not even a website. It's a network of consciousness, a living ecosystem of thought and trauma. Every product they list, every person, every clone, every harvested part, is a branch of someone still alive, still trapped, still dreaming. They don't just take your body, they take your mind, your fears, your soul, and distribute them across thousands of vessels, clones, fragments. You ever get that feeling when you wake up and swear something was inside your dream, watching you? That was someone like me, a piece of someone who didn't escape. After I extracted the wire, I finally plugged in the USB Kyle left me. Only one file was on it, titled God's Left Hand. It was a screen recording, surveillance footage, time-stamped 10 years ago. It showed a warehouse, cold, industrial, lined with vertical tanks, floor to ceiling, filled with a thick red fluid. Each one had a floating figure inside, still, twitching, or violently thrashing. Some tanks had hands smearing bloody words across the glass from inside. Words like, "Let me out." "This one's broken." "The eyes don't close." "He's looking through me." One tank cracked open and spilled out a person with no face. Just smooth skin where the features should be. The body gasped like it was trying to breathe through invisible lungs. A man walked into frame, wearing a white lab coat, but his face wasn't visible, blurred, even though the rest of the footage was clear. He pulled the faceless thing upright and whispered, "You're awake. Good. It's time to forget Jack." And then the file looped. I watched it 13 times. It never changed. I started noticing people in my building who shouldn't exist. My landlord has 3 dogs. I know because I've seen him walk them every morning. But yesterday, I saw him walking 4, and the 4th one had a human hand for a paw. It waved at me when it passed. My neighbor's baby started speaking in full sentences last week. Not baby talk. Perfect German. She's 2 months old. I heard her tell her mother, "He's inside the walls again, Mommy. Don't let him plug me back in." No one acts like this is strange. No one reacts anymore. Because I'm the only one left that hasn't been fully rewritten. I've been opening my mouth randomly during the day and hearing other voices come out. At first, it was Kyle's. Then it was a woman I've never met, sobbing in French. Then a screaming child. Last night, I sang a lullaby in a language I don't even recognize, and I don't sing. I tried to escape. Again, I booked a flight out of Vancouver, picked a random location, Iceland, just to be anywhere else. At the airport, I handed my passport to the security agent. She looked up, smiled, and her face glitched, like pixels tearing across a video buffer. Then her voice said, "Jack Matthews has already departed. He's on Route 091. Please return to the body farm." I didn't run. I couldn't. My legs didn't move, because they weren't mine anymore. I turned around and walked straight into a Starbucks, sat down, and stared into a reflective napkin dispenser. My reflection didn't blink again. This time, it waved. The red market is everywhere now. It's in your phones, your smart fridges, your cameras, your dreams, your face. You know when your Instagram shows you ads for places you only thought about, or when you hear your own voice in a TikTok you never made. They're sampling you. You're being processed in the background, a running script hidden inside the noise. You are a product, a pending file, a flesh algorithm waiting to be deployed. And the worst part, you'll never know when the copy replaces you, because it won't kill you. It won't need to. It will be you. Last night, I recorded myself sleeping again, just in case. I fast-forwarded through 7 hours of darkness. At 3:33 a.m., I sat up, but not the me watching the recording, the me in the bed. It sat up, turned toward the camera, and whispered, "I finally understand, brother. The red market isn't a place. It's the next evolution of humanity, and we are the first prototypes." Then it walked up to the lens, placed a finger against the screen, and said my name, my real name, with a grin I've never seen myself make. "This body fits better every day. Thank you for breaking. Goodbye." And then the camera shut off. If you're reading this, you're already in it. This story found you for a reason. Ask yourself, do your mirrors always show you blinking in sync? Do you remember what your voice really sounds like? When was the last time you were absolutely sure you were alone? Listen closely tonight. When the screens flicker, when the hallway light buzzes, when the ceiling creaks, they're checking your value. You are ID, pending, condition, observed, status, ready for duplication. I was Jack Matthews, but the version typing this, he's not, and he's hungry. Goodbye.